Hi, my name is Beth Gantz, and I'm a business coach at the Small Business Development Center at Lorain County Community College. And I'm joined today with Rick Slark of Slark Consulting Group.
Hello.
Hi, Rick.
Hi. Good to
Hi,
see
I'm
you.
excited to chat again.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm excited to chat today about partnerships. And, that's something that we get asked a lot about, but tell our audience about you and your business.
Okay. I'm Rick Slark, and I'm the owner of Slark Consulting Group that specializes in growth businesses who are experiencing difficulty because of growth and development. And that brings a whole new set of challenges with it. We all have challenges, and no matter where you are in your business life, there are challenges. Some of them are just a little bit different as you move forward, but you never get rid of them, right?
Right, that's right. And yeah, I know our clients really enjoy working with you. So thank you for the help that you give them. But, when I say excited about this topic, it's really because we run into this topic all the time, business partnerships. What does that look like? A lot of people think they should have a business partner, but I want to talk today about your thoughts on that. And so what do you think about business partnerships?
It's a timely subject because I run into it, and I've been running into it. You go through seasons where in your advising and in your working with clients, you kind of run into seasons where you have a lot of this. And so I'm in that season now where a lot of people are talking about partnerships.
Mhm.
And so there's a lot to say about it. So if you have been sitting around your table with your college buddy thinking, hey, we ought to come up with this idea and kind of get together on this, then you should listen up because there's going to be some stuff we talk about,
Right,
like,
right,
for that.
right. There's
Um,
definitely some challenges.
yeah. So
Yeah.
today, let's do this. We'll talk about the benefits
Okay.
of a partnership, and then we'll kind of hit on some of the downsides of a partnership, and then we'll talk about the 10 most common things I deal with, problem areas when it comes to partnerships, and then
Okay.
we'll give you a couple tips. So let's see if we can get through
All
through
right.
that.
Sounds good.
So partnerships in some parts of the country, and depending on the industry, partnerships are more or less prevalent. So for instance, in California, where you're doing in the tech industry, it's almost never a solo entrepreneur. It's always a team of people that build these types of companies. In fact, most of the large companies you could think of now that are tech all started with maybe 4, 5, 10 partners, right? So it's very easy for them. It would be weird for them to, and probably no one would invest in them if it was just some one person. In our area, it's a little different, right? So we have businesses that are mostly single member LLCs or sole proprietors or whatever. So partnerships here are a little rarer, but yet it happens. So let's talk about the good things about having a partnership. And I'm going to just list off a few here. And then if you have any questions, we can go there. First of all, it's shared responsibility. It's not just you. Everything is
Right.
not just dependent upon you. You can share the workload. You can share the problems. You can share a lot of the things that have to happen. Some of you that are solo entrepreneurs know that you wear all the hats. And it
Yeah.
is kind of nice to have that shared responsibility. Also, if you're down, a lot of times the partner's up. If
Yeah.
you're up, the partner may be down, but there's that nice. You're not sitting in your room, uh, with the lights turned out, sucking your thumb and crying. Right? You have this uh, shared responsibility. The other thing is you have complementary skills, and it kind of goes along with that, but you really want to make sure that you have complementary skills. Don't get a partner that does exactly what you do or
Right.
their strengths. So if you're very charismatic, you really don't want another charismatic person in that sense, or you want somebody that's more operational, let's say. If you're a visionary, most visionaries and most small businesses win when you have a visionary and an operator. So you have somebody that's the squirrel person, and then you have the person that keeps them on track. So
Right.
that's kind of the partnership that you really want to
Yeah.
see. The third thing is financial strength. So we're kind of sharing the initial investment of the company, and we've put in for equity and things of that nature, perhaps. And so there's this shared responsibility, which is really nice at times to have. And we share the risk, right? So
Right,
we kind of are together on that.
right,
And then we have decision making that I don't, a lot of us don't trust ourselves, right?
right.
And it's always nice to have somebody else bounce something off of. Half of our advising is just letting a client talk through stuff, right? And they
Absolutely.
figure
Right.
it out on their own as they're talking to you. They go, "Oh, I get it." And sometimes that's a really beneficial for a partnership. So
Yeah.
those are kind of the good things. I didn't know if you had any thoughts on that.
No, absolutely. And I think, people, it's like to your point, you don't always trust yourself. So it is nice to have someone else, or you're not as strong in one area. So it's nice to have that other person supporting you. Um, but I know you'll get into the challenges, and I think you'll touch on some of the things I'll wait for you to touch on those for my topic, for
Okay,
my advice,
sure.
all the
Well,
things I want
yeah.
to say.
Yeah, well, those are the great parts,
They
right? And
really are great.
that's so
Yeah.
wonderful. And when it works, it's so good,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But the majority of people I see are going to be talking about or thinking about these things. And here's
Right.
the flip side, the bad side. So these are things, if you're thinking about a partnership, I gave you the good things. Here's some of the things that you may want to think about, right? And if you're in a partnership, you're going, well, isn't that right? Right. So
Right,
we're
exactly. We've
so
right.
just like in every relationship, there's conflict. So that's one thing is
Mhm.
there's a lot of disagreement and there's a lot of conflict. And it always starts off like the marriage with the honeymoon kind of a thing,
Right,
but it always ends up in the day to day, getting the kids in the car and packing lunches and all that stuff.
right.
In business, when you're dealing with all of that, the daily part, that's where it really gets the
Mhm,
conflicts come. I'm tired, I'm hungry, and you're tired and you're hungry. We're under pressure.
mhm,
Things aren't going right. A lot of conflict.
mm,
So that's a big part. You
yeah,
can't just decide what you want to do and move on. There's
right.
a lot of conflict. Second part, shared profits. So when you're profitable, you don't get all the profits. You invest
Right.
back into the business and then you get what's left and you share that. So you don't get everything like you would in a sole proprietorship or a single
Yeah.
member LLC. Sometimes you lose control, you lose the battle. You think the business ought to
Oh,
go this way, and they say it's going this way. If they have more percentage, maybe it comes down to that, right? Hey, I got more percentage than you.
right,
I'm going to do it this way, right? So
right.
you have to, so that's the conflict, the relational conflict is kind of bad. Liability, if one of the partners gets out, you are
Mhm,
now liable for all of the debt that they incurred. And so that can be really messy. And we can talk more about that later. And then that kind of goes on with these exit challenges, right? So
right.
what happens? I'm dealing with a group now that there's three partners and two of them are wanting to get out. One of them is has less percentage, but they do all the manual work,
Mhm,
and it's just a real ugly situation. And so
yeah.
that's the exit strategies. That's kind of the bad. So there's the highlights of the good and the bad. So you can kind of just see. And if you want to know more about that, you can call SBDC and they can help you with that.
Yeah. I'm so glad that you brought those up because, I don't think that we're 100% against business partnerships, but I do find often when I'm with clients that I have them take pause, right? And no one asks these hard questions to themselves. They're just excited about the thing they're going to do. And I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. But they don't think about the liability part. They don't, and what money you could lose or the exit strategy, things like that. And I don't really think they think about each other's strengths and weaknesses enough either. And maybe, putting those job descriptions together, good contracts in place. They don't think about that. And so that's why I'm so glad you brought those points up because they're not, they are maybe challenges and negative thinking, but it's just the reality.
Yeah, for instance, let's say you're working someplace and you and another guy or woman, you guys are seeing that you're kind of talking at break and stuff, and you could see you could put this together. And you think, well, they would be a perfect match for me to start this new venture. The problem is you only see them one dimensionally.
Right.
You don't see their whole
Right.
life, right? You
Right.
only see their at work. And so you're not really seeing all of their life. You've maybe never seen the work that they do. So for instance, let's say you're a marketer and there's somebody that says, hey, I'm a graphic designer. Well, are they really, or do they just draw stuff, right? I mean,
Exactly.
are they a graphic designer? So you want to see their work, and you should spend about 6 months is my goal, or what I would like to see 6 months of their work. And then you kind of get an idea of the quality, the consistency, those kind of things. But we just jump in, right?
Right. Well, because
And then
everyone's
it's a
excited.
disaster. Yeah.
Everyone's excited. And I think that we also don't take into the account, like someone always has a stronger worth ethic. Maybe, the importance of it is greater for someone else than the other person I've seen. Or life, what about when life happens? What if a parent gets sick, a spouse and you're drawn off? What plans do you have in place for someone to pick up the things that are dropped, or to your point, the exit clause, right? Exit strategy. So again, not that we want to always go to the negative. We're just here to help you think about these things before you would get into a business partnership.
Well, when the joke is that the best part of, or the first thing you should do if you get into a partnership is hire a great lawyer,
Right.
right? So, I mean,
That's right.
that's what you
Yeah,
really should do. And honestly, even though that is kind of a joke when people talk about partnerships, it's really true.
it
And,
is.
and some of this will come out as we talk about some of the kind of 10 things we see mostly in
Yeah. So let's get into
industry.
that.
Okay.
Get into that.
So here's kind of the 10 top things that we see in partnerships that are challenges. We'll call these the 10 most important challenges. The first is misaligned objectives and goals. So you have two partners, and this partner is more conservative with financially and goal oriented, and this one's ready to just go hog wild, right? They're ready to just take over.
Yeah.
So there's an example of misaligned goals and objectives. Who wins on that? How do you solve that? But I see that a lot. That's probably one of the top ones. Different values and things of that nature. The second is just simply, like every relationship, is communication problems. A lot of times the partnership, so for instance, you might have a partner that's the sweat partner, right? They have lower equity, or they've invested less money into the business. And then you have typically a person that's investing more capital, but they don't have any interest in the business really. They're working a full-time job, they've got kids, but they have some cash, so they're putting in the money.
Mm-hmm.
And the one that has invested the money has a full life and doesn't. They're kind of outside of the communication thing.
Mm-hmm.
Initially, they're in, but then the day-to-day stuff, I'm trying to get a hold of that partner to make decision. I can't get a hold of them. They're not engaged.
Right.
That's a real problem.
Right.
Let alone if you both work in it, right? So
Right.
communication is just a huge problem. The other one kind of feeds into that. Number three is the unequal contributions. So that
Mm-hmm.
constantly comes up when conflict comes. I have more invested in this than you.
Right.
Yeah, but I spend more time here than you,
Right.
right?
Right.
And that really gets ugly. And
Right.
so you have to really talk through that way ahead of time. But I see that a ton, especially when things are bad.
Well, and some people just perceive that they're doing more than the other person. So it's your own perception, Yeah.
Yeah,
Which
and
can be hard
what if
too,
you
right?
actually yeah, so here's a real common scenario. What if you actually are running the day to day and I'm providing the money And I think I don't need to run day to day. I'm providing the money, and that's more important than you doing day to day. And you doing day to day go, no, that's more important than the money.
Right,
And so you both are like, you put your heels in the ground,
right.
compromising that part. So that is a huge part. The other one I kind of mentioned is the financial disagreements. This is how we spend the money. Really important. That's
Mhm,
something that needs to be talked about, and it is a huge problem.
mhm.
How are we going to spend the money? Oh, we'll figure that out as we go.
Yeah,
That's Yeah, no, you won't, because
yeah,
that's going to be a really bad problem there. So that's it. The other one is trust issues. So you're kind of hiding things from me, or you're having secret meetings. Or here's what I've seen happen recently is a partner that's invested in this business also now becomes a partner in another business, and that takes their focus away.
yeah.
So now, because if you invest in one business, you're probably
Mhm.
looking to invest in some other things. So
Sure,
what happens about that? Did we talk about that, right?
sure.
That I thought I'm sold out to this one, but you kind of are doing like three things now.
Right,
So,
right.
so, and so trust is a huge issue there. And that would be this one, conflict of interest. So that's kind of where an investor would do that. It'd
Uh,
be kind of some like the conflict of interest.
I didn't even really think of that one, actually.
That happens a lot,
Yeah,
actually. Because if you have an investment personality, you're going to look, you're always looking,
sure.
for something
Right,
to the next thing or
right,
whatever.
right.
So that
Mm,
here's another one is work ethic, right? So this is one we don't talk about a lot is you have somebody that is really, really detailed and working 24/7, and you have somebody else that comes in at 11 and then they leave at 2 and they're going to go play golf and
right,
that kind of thing,
right,
or we're going to hit the tennis
right,
court or whatever. So
right.
this is a huge problem, this differing work ethics,
Yeah,
um
yeah. I've seen that.
for sure.
Mhm,
um The other one is just not having a framework of how we're going to make decisions. So like
mhm.
we haven't set up, okay, this is how we're going to resolve conflict, right? Because you
Right,
have to talk about that because it's going to happen, but what are we going to do? So what if you're a powder, right? And so I offend you or I say something harsh to you and you just go into the silent mode, right?
right,
But we need to make a decision on taxes, or we need to make a decision on a property, or and you're giving me the cold shoulder, So
right.
having a framework of how we're going to make decisions is really critical. Number 9 would be succession planning. How do we end this thing?
Mhm.
And most partner agreements deal mostly with that, with how we're going to get out of this. Um, so you want to make sure you talk about that, and that's tied up
Yeah,
pretty good.
yeah. And I'd say like you don't always know that answer, right? You can always change those along the way as like things in your life change or your business is changing. You could go back to some of these things too. Like what you decide today isn't necessarily what might happen in 2 years or
Yeah,
something.
for sure. But it
Yeah.
has to be think. So
But
then
it
just
definitely,
yeah,
definitely has
then
to be.
the other part, line number 10 would just be legal and
Mm,
compliance issues.
right,
There are some people, some business owners that are not, let's just say when it comes to taxes or legal things, they're not hurried by that. They get a certified letter from the IRS. They don't care.
right.
Where the other partner could be scared,
Hmm.
silly, right?
Hmm.
Well, let's talk about that. Let's do the nah. Well, it's nothing. They do that all the time. It's just a scare tactic. So the way you handle and think about legal and compliance issues, do we need to get this license? Nah.
Nah.
Are we going to get this building permit? Nah.
Eh,
Right. So those
true.
kind of things. If
It's so true.
somebody, yeah,
Yeah.
if somebody is like that, and you're not, that's going to be a real problem. So you need
Yeah.
to to talk through that. All right,
Yeah.
now let me end with 2 tips. All right, so
Okay.
if you're thinking about a partnership or you're in a partnership, the first thing is preventative measures always are the best. Take some of this information and really begin to apply it. These are things you need to think about. It's not going to happen to me. Yes, it is going to happen
Yes.
to you. It is going to happen to you. And you're going to call and say, I wish I would have listened, right?
Right.
So you do need to be preventative. Make sure you cover this. If you don't know exactly what to do, get a hold of the SBDC and they can handle it or direct you to the right place. But make sure you go in with your eyes wide open on that. And then second tip, and with that is the regularly have meetings with your partner. This is really hard if they're spouses or whatever. I mean, they kind of do that
Yeah.
overkill. Thanksgiving, I've been in many Thanksgiving dinners where it's a family business and they're all mad at each other and it's really awkward.
Right.
You know, yeah,
I
I mean, I've been
know.
in a lot of those, right?
I've been
So
in a family business. I know.
so you get that. But make sure you have regular communication, even if, and here's the thing, most of them wait till a critical situation arises or an important situation arises, then they have a meeting. I would
Mhm.
really say have a regularly set meeting,
Yeah.
no matter if anything is of importance is going on or not.
Yeah.
Just have a consistent schedule where you're meeting, you're talking about these things and building relationship. So there it is.
No, those are great tips. And I think that, again, it's not necessarily wrong to do a business partnership, but definitely think these things through. And it's okay to ask these hard questions to each other and really put that out there, because in the long run, it saves you money and time and that
And
way,
I would say if you
right?
can't have these kind of hard conversations, you probably shouldn't be in a partnership with them.
1000% agree. Right, right, absolutely. So then in that case, maybe you start the business, but hire that person to do the thing that they were good at for what you were going into business with
For
them in
sure.
the first place. Or, so there's lots of ideas and options and things that we can help you with at the SBDC. So thank you so much, Rick. And I
Yep.
look forward to our next chat.
Yep. Me too.